Now joined by longtime NFL insider, reporter extraordinaire Adam Caplan, who is live in Minnesota. We are all overwhelmed by the amount of people here, but very unique, very interesting, but it's been a long week, and there's an actual game on Sunday, believe it or not.
Typically, Mike, this is my 16th Super Bowl. What happens is the first 2 or 3 days, when it's a little bit of a slower pace, people are looking for anything but the Super Bowl to talk about. The weather, obviously, is a big factor here. Trying to get here from Philadelphia is a factor here. I flew up. Vicek was on my flight. And 6 of the most beautiful Eagles cheerleaders I've ever seen. In fact, I am convinced that they're not the real ones.
What does that mean?
It means that they're not Philly tough. They don't look like grizzled, been around for a while. They're like centerfolds. Like, they're beautiful. I'm like, wait a minute, this is not what is going on here. But anyway, flew up here with Vi on Monday. That was fun. They did an Eagles cheer. Oh my goodness gracious! On the flight, that was funny.
Well, more people are. You've seen more and heard more as we've got here.
Which is what I expected.
So you've been here virtually all week.
Yep.
Give us a little take on how the practices have gone from, when they got here and you're kind of wide-eyed, and now down to business.
So their first practice, Mike, was on Wednesday. That one, Doug Pederson, the head coach, talked about how they maybe would have been a little bit sloppy. And that's fine. He had made something to correct. But what I've heard is 3 things. Tempo, really good. Pacing, really good. Confident, loose. They're not stiff. They're not scared. This phrase that Doug Pederson has used, and I don't know if he came up with it on his own, the faceless opponent, that clearly is the mantra of this football team. They're not worried about Brady and Belichick. We in the media might be, but they don't care about that. They're going by matchups and tape study, and they react off that, and they practice the right way. And this is just the last game of the season. They understand what it means. But what I'd said to someone, what happens when the players and coaches have their last meeting Saturday night? The person I spoke to this morning said that's probably when we're going to start thinking about it a little bit, what this game means. But to this point, Mike, it hasn't been a factor at all from what the Eagles have told me.
Adam, one thing interesting to me, no pads. Because you go back to the end of the regular season, Doug was trying to get them to the finish line, took off the pads. They didn't play that well. Obviously, against Oakland or Dallas, not a lot of people played. But the last 5 quarters from Nick Foles weren't great. They put the pads back on. Put the pads back on in the playoffs. Played tremendously, really against Atlanta and the Vikings. Now they're back off, no pads. What do you make of that?
John, first of all, with Nick Foles, here's what happened. So prior to the Atlanta game, something happened. I'm not sure if anyone got in his ear. I'm not sure if he was responding to the criticism nationally and locally. I don't know if he was aware of it, but multiple people with the Eagles told me that it came into practice prior to that Atlanta game, kind of upset because Nick is sort of a ho-hum, sort of flatline personality. He came in, he threw the heck out of the football like he was mad, like he was angry. They'd never seen him throw like this, and the people I spoke with said they were pleasantly surprised. We would see what happened in the game. In the Atlanta game, he played well, though they didn't throw the ball much downfield. The play was to get him out of his hands quickly, get him confident. And then the next week, he was even more confident. And as one person said, he had the best practices of this season against prior to the Atlanta game. So they had a pretty good feeling against Minnesota. He'd play well, but that was the NFL's best defense, so you never know. You can never really plan on how players are going to play. Like, coaches tell me you prepare them, you hope that they play well, and you adjust accordingly. But Nick Foles has been a study in sort of perseverance of this football team. He is the epitome of this football team. You lose your star quarterback, your middle linebacker, your left tackle, your special teams returner, your change-up running back in Sproles, and they don't miss a beat. Like, how does it happen? I've never seen anything like it. This is my 19th year with coaching the National Football League. I've never seen a team overcome that and make the Super Bowl.
Adam, I saw you tweeted something out today. You said you had a coach from another team tell you this week that he expects at least 45 pass attempts.
Minimum. Yeah.
As an Eagles fan, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, here's the thing. Belichick historically, he'll pack it in. If he knows he can't run, he won't even try to run. There was a game where they threw against the Vikings. I forget what year it is, over 60. It was between 55 and 60 pass attempts. Because he goes, why even try? And that's actually what he said in the press conference. In this case, the word is around the league that it's about, if you're going to beat the Eagles, not only will you throw against them, you're going to get the running backs involved. for whatever reason, I don't know why teams are not throwing against the Eagle linebackers.
Yeah.
Without Jordan Hicks, why wouldn't you go after Daniel Ellerbe? Can't run better than Mike, and Mike runs about a 5.7 40. It's like, why would you not go against his linebackers without Jordan Hicks?
Every time the Eagles have played a team this year that had, that kind of like Chris Thompson in Washington.
He got him twice. Exactly.
Last week or 2 weeks ago, McKinnon had 11 catches against him.
And you saw what Todd Gurley did.
Yeah, there's been a lot of teams that have that scat back player that have not utilized it much this year.
And they've got the ultimate in Deion Lewis, former Eagle, James White, who's the check down running back, and Rex Burkhead is really explosive in space. And I did my podcast this morning with Greg Cosell from NFL Films and the matchup show on ESPN. Greg agreed with me. He goes, he would be stunned if they don't go tempo and get the running backs involved. Now, knowing that, Jim Schwartz knows what's coming because historically this is a passing offense, not a running offense. So Schwartz, as he did brilliantly against the Vikings after the awful first possession, he adjusted, Mike. This is a series of adjustments. This game is so intriguing from the chess match standpoint.
Yeah.
I cannot wait for this game. This is going to be fun for your fans listening out there, Eagle fans. This is about coaching. It's never been bigger at this point than coaching.
And I think the interesting you've got, because keep in mind, the first two games, Quinn, defensive-minded guy, and
Mike Zimmer,
sure. Defensive-minded guy. You got Belichick now, a defensive-minded guy. Now he can, pretty much change up on the fly, it seems like. But Jim Schwartz seemingly has gotten the better of the two coordinators. He really messed up Atlanta up the middle there and did the same thing last week to the Minnesota. But can they run a similar game plan with just four-man pressure?
Okay, I think they're going to still run the wide nine. I think it would be selective blitzing. I don't see them putting in 5 or 6 men in the box. I think they're going to go nickel at minimum of 75% of the game and plenty of dime. And then they got to worry about Gronk. Amendola's been on fire, former Eagle there, another former Eagle. By the way, Timmy Jernigan practiced today. He will play. So I think that's all you can do.
Yeah, we heard a lot about this flu bug real fast on that.
Yeah, a lot.
Doug
Pederson was ill. Jernigan was ill. A bunch of them are ill, but Jernigan did everything today. He's going to play and start, so don't worry about that.
Nobody else is dealing with the illness bug right now?
Ronald Darby was sick
Right,
yesterday,
but they all work today. They all work today. So my concern, though, would be keeping everything in front of them. You can't let them catch it and then run. So they got to be very disciplined here. And in-game adjustments, not just halftime. That's overrated. Series to series like Schwartz did last week, that's got to happen here. This is going to be, again, I'd be very surprised if anyone wins by more than 10 in this game. I think it's a tight ball game. It could go either way. Coaching matters, though, man. This is why they get paid. And Doug Pederson has been the biggest shock in the National Football League. He's a really good coach. I can't believe I'm saying it, but it's true.
Yeah.
I was wrong about that. Definitely
Me too.
I think most of us were, but not me, Mike will say. I was
Did
on
you?
Why? Early. Because when I saw the way Doug handled, I think coaching Adam is more about leadership. I think X's and O's. He's proven to be a better play caller than
one of
I
the best
think anybody
play callers,
expected.
Well,
Yeah.
I will give you a little insight. We got Avant coming up, and I did record that earlier.
Yeah.
Something he said in that interview really jumped out to me, which was he said that he knew when Andy was calling the plays and when Doug was calling the plays because Doug's design
so more
and
aggressive.
play calling was so much better.
Mike, did you see what DiFilippo said, the quarterback's coach? Said he's fearless. He's the best play caller he's ever been around.
Well, yeah,
it's pretty strong.
Avant, and this interview's coming up in about 20 minutes, but he did say in that interview that the intuition he had on calling plays and the aggressiveness that they were just.
And Frank Reich used the term unorthodox and aggressive, and how much pressure that puts on the opposing defense because of its 4th and 1 plus 40. Doug's not going to give up possessions at times.
And I love what Belichick said this week. He said that they're very unpredictable to start the game. It's hard to get into rhythm as a defensive play caller because you don't know quite what they're going to call because there's no basis game to game the way that Doug is calling the play in the first half, especially the first quarter. That's really good. And Belichick I know Belichick sometimes tries to build up the opponent. I've heard that from other teams, and that's why Doug's such a good play caller. Another underrated fact that people don't talk about. Doug is unbelievably good at time management, unlike his mentor Andy Reid. Have you noticed how many games he has timeouts left at the end of a game? I'm probably I look at that stuff. Because Doug is so sure and know what he wants and so confident in the way he calls plays. How many times has he really called a timeout because he doesn't know what he's doing? The only time I think I disagreed, and we were all right on that, the 4th and 8 was a ridiculous call.
But
that was
he learned from it.
I know.
He's never done it again,
he's
really.
Well, and the use of challenges sometimes is a little bit.
Well, a couple of them are wrong, but he's actually pretty good with that. And by the way, is there a better fourth down play caller?
Right.
It's unbelievable.
Not to mention the game against Dallas when he had a plethora of 2-point conversion plays.
Unbelievable.
And by the way, Adam, that's what I was talking about, the intangibles. I was going all the way back to when Sam got upset and left. I thought he handled that tremendously. Sure. And then you talk about the 14 years in the NFL, the difference between him and Chip Kelly, and you could tell it very early. God, he understands the locker room. And I think that's intangible stuff. It's underrated, but it's important.
Adam, you've been here all week. You talked about practice, but what about the pressure on this team, knowing that the city is dying for them to come home with a win?
Mike, the coaches and players get it. Some of the coaches are from the area. DiFilippo went to Radnor High. He gets it. Some of the players that have been here before or just been with the team long enough get it. They've been here. They've seen some of the good, some of the bad. And then you've got, of course, LeGarrette Blount and Chris Long. I mean, it's amazing what they were there last year. They were a Super Bowl winner. Now they're on the other side. I think everybody gets it, but very few players. I know you talked to Jason Avant. What this will mean? He
said he's going there and he will be at the party. He'll be in the lobby. Former players.
It will be madness, as we all know, because we live in the area. Jeff Mosher knows that. I said to people, I would not want to be in Philadelphia the first couple days of the week. It could be dangerous. And by the way, people are probably going to take a week off. They won't know what to do with themselves, Mike. I'm born and raised in the area. I'm a former season ticket holder. I remember when I stopped being a fan. But I'm a fan of the game, and I like that the city's jazzed. You know what? It's always great when there are no expectations. There are expectations this team would be better than last. It would be 8, 9, and 7. The fact they're in the Super Bowl without their quarterback is just unbelievable.
I said earlier, they have a 93 Phillies vibe to them with a lot of cast-offs and free agents, one-year deals, prove-it stuff. Last year, as we mentioned, Pederson was Fergosi at that time, you didn't know he wasn't this great manager, and then it all just clicked for that 1 year. You hope it doesn't end the same way.
I would say this. The word inside the Eagles is two things when it comes to Doug and managing the roster. The players know where the line is. They don't cross it. And as one player told me privately, and I could talk about this, he said, we absolutely did not want to disappoint Carson during the season. He was so good and so special.
It's like the Peyton Manning thing.
You know what I mean? Mike, yes. That's exactly what it is.
Those linemen never got him sacked because they couldn't face him if they let him down.
They did not want to be the ones to bring down the team. And I got to give Jeffrey Lurie credit for this phrase, emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
I mocked him on the radio.
Everybody did.
That was a joke. He knew exactly what it needed because they wanted the opposite of Chip Kelly, someone who understood today's player. And that's why Chip is no longer coaching the National Football League. He didn't know it was a players' league. He thought it was a coaches' league. He was wrong.
Yeah, Adam Caplan, right here on the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN. We appreciate him stopping by. Eagles, Patriots, Sunday night. Adam, who do you like?
Well, I was wrong last week, so with this pick now, you'll probably be happy then. I'm picking the Patriots 23-20. I'm just picking the experience of coaching. This goes down to the wire. A Gostkowski field goal wins it. But, boy, you know what would be great, based on the way Nick Foles played against the Vikings? How crazy would it be if Nicky Franchise drives the team down to win? I would literally pull off my toupee on television.
That or a Elliott bomb.
Oh, my God, 61 yards.
The Elliott kick, you can make the argument, kind of kick-started this season. They lose that game. Who knows where this season goes?
But by the way, give Howie Roseman credit. He did some tremendous exploring. There's a kicking coach that he called, and there's this big-time kicking coach somewhere in the middle of the country that all these agents send their kickers to, and Howie found out where this Elliott kid was trained, and he called the coach and said he's the best guy he got. I heard that's why they brought him in.
Wow. But Howie brought in the Parkey kid, too, didn't he? Did we make that trade for Parkey?
Yeah, he
David
did.
Llewellyn
Yeah,
for
he
Cody.
did. And it's
just a good
trade.
Bowl.
Yeah,
Gostkowski, Jake Elliott, both from
Sam
Memphis.
Scholl from Memphis, sure.
Jake really patterned his career after Stephen Gostkowski. Very interesting story inside the story for the game.
Adam, appreciate it, man. And
Guys, thank you.
On the recaps and stuff, where could people listen and find you?
Well, just check me out on Twitter. We'll do a podcast next week if the Eagles win. We'll probably do a special podcast and got some stuff coming career hopefully in the spring, which I'll hopefully be able to announce. But it's been a great week. It's been kind of fun. What are your thoughts here doing this thing in the middle of the food court here at the Mall of America?
It's been interesting. I'll tell you what, you could spend a day on each floor of this mall. You walk the first floor, that's Monday. The second floor, Tuesday. I mean, it's
incredible, man. I've been here since 1997. It's probably my 12th time coming here. I usually go to Vikings training camp, but I've never actually worked in here. It's the first time I've done it.
It's great. It's awesome.
It's great stuff.
Adam, we appreciate it, man.
Guys, thank you.